Hello guys, my name is Anna and I am a yoga teacher based here in Glasgow. I wanted to create a couple of videos for the TCA and the climbing community just to support mental health and well-being during this lockdown winter time when we can't go climbing so easily or use the gyms. So this video will be focusing on slow and mindful movement, trying to allow you to connect with your body a little bit, put your awareness into your body, notice how it's feeling, and we'll end with a small, short meditation. So we're going to begin lying on our backs. And oh, I forgot to say, you might want a couple of blocks. And if you don't have yoga blocks like this, then books or DVDs would do just as well. So come to lie on your back. You can plant the soles of your feet to the mat if that brings a little bit more ease to your lower back. If you prefer, you can extend your legs away like this. It's up to you. But just coming to lie down in a way that is comfortable. And if you want, you can keep your eyes open or you can close them. If you want, you can bring your hands to your body, maybe hands on your belly, or one hand on belly, one hand on chest. And when you've arrived lying down on your mat, just taking a moment to let your body kind of land here. So notice how your body is making contact with the ground, the parts of your body that feel heavy to the mat. Maybe your feet or your heels, maybe your pelvis, maybe your shoulders. Maybe they can release a bit more into the ground. Maybe the back of your skull. And as you let your body settle and arrive, maybe ask yourself, how am I feeling today? How does my body feel? And your body might feel quite good, quite spacious or energized. Or you might be tired, there might be some aches and pains. Either is fine. You might ask yourself, how is my mind? Is my mind quite busy? Is it quite calm? Perhaps there's lots of to-do list things fluttering around in there, or some worries or concerns. And you might ask yourself, am I experiencing any emotions, any frustration, or maybe some joy or happiness? And whatever you find as you ask yourself these questions, whatever you uncover, whatever is true for you today, right now, you're just being very kind and curious about that. Just noticing whatever it is that is present. And noticing it in a kind way. Being gentle to yourself. And then start to pay attention to your breath. Just noticing, how is your breath feeling today? Maybe where can you feel it? Maybe you can feel it in your nostrils, the cool of the air as it comes in, and the warmth of the breath as it departs. Maybe you can feel it a little bit further down towards your chest, your rib cage. Maybe you can even feel it in your belly, little rise and fall. And does your breath feel pretty smooth? Does it feel expansive? Or maybe there's more of a hesitant quality to your breath, and again, it's all good. As you start to breathe and notice your breath might naturally get a bit longer, a bit fuller, and you can just allow that to happen, that natural deepening. It might feel as if your inhale is able to travel a little bit further down into your body, maybe towards your belly. And it might feel like your exhale gets a bit longer, like you draw it out a little bit. Just continuing to breathe and let your breath naturally deepen and expand until it feels like you're breathing a little bit more into your body. A little bit more of the material of your lungs is being breathed than maybe was at the start. And if it would help you connect to your breath, you could lend your breath an ujjayi quality, which is just what we call in yoga when you slightly constrict at the back of your throat, run your breath via your vocal cords, and it makes the sound of the sea. Another couple of moments here just to be still with your body and your breath. And then maybe blinking your eyes open. If it would feel good, you can hug your knees towards you. Maybe wrap your arms around your knees and rock across your lower back. If it would feel good, you could take a stretch here, sending your feet away, your arms overhead. Big stretch, waking up your body. And then you can let your arms come down by your side, your feet plant to the mat, and roll over onto one side. Take a moment when you roll over, curl up small. And then slowly make your way to tabletop pose, so hands and knees. So you're making your way to tabletop, hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. And you can just take a little moment when you arrive here. You might want to circle through your neck or nod or shake your head a little bit. It might feel good to sway your hips a little bit side to side. You might feel a gentle stretch into the sides of your body as you do that. It might feel good to circle shoulders over wrists, so you feel a little waking up, a little stretch into your wrists. So just take these first few moments, first couple breaths, to make any movement that would feel good for you right now. And just being inquisitive, exploratory. What would feel nice for my body in this pose? Maybe you rock forwards and back. Maybe you incorporate those little hip sways as you circle around. And then come back to a steady tabletop, hips above knees, shoulders above hands, and a bit of length through the spine. So you can think about your sitting bones reaching back behind you and the crown of your head, the very top of your head reaching forward. Keep your right hand where it is and sweep your left hand up, and you sweep it up as far as feels good. Maybe you reach it up towards the ceiling, maybe it's a bit lower. And stay for an inhale here, reaching your fingers away, maybe lifting your heart up a tiny bit. And as you exhale, we're coming into threading the needle pose. Sweep your left arm underneath your right, and if it feels comfortable, come and lie on your left ear, left cheek, left shoulder. So it's a big stretch for the back of your shoulder. It's a little twist for your spine. And you can keep your right hand planted, or you could slide it forward, pushing into that hand, maybe sending your tailbone back. Staying here for a couple of breaths and just noticing, how does this pose feel in your body? Where can you feel the stretch? Does it feel good? Can you adjust anything to make it feel a bit better? Maybe posting your left hand through a bit more. Maybe reaching your tailbone back. Take one more breath. And then draw your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Come back to your tabletop. And if you need to sway or circle or do anything to release that pose from your body, then go for it. And then we'll go to the other side. So this time your left hand's going to stay planted and your right hand will reach. So again, reaching that right hand out to the right, as big a gesture as you want. Maybe lifting your heart up so you feel this openness across your chest. And then sliding your right arm underneath your left, posting that arm through, threading the needle pose. You can come and lie on your right shoulder, right cheek. And you might slide your left hand away. And again, just experimenting, noticing, maybe closing your eyes. How would it feel to turn your heart a little bit more to the left? How would it feel to press your extended hand, your left hand down, and reach your sitting bones away? Take another couple of breaths here. And then slowly, left hand underneath left shoulder, push into that hand to come back to tabletop. And then from tabletop, with your hands planted, your next inhale, can you lift your heart forward a little bit? And you can make this a very small gesture, but you might look forward and think about drawing your heart in between your arms. And with an exhale, maybe if it feels good to tie it to the breath in that way, can you round through your spine? So push your hands into the mat. And at the end of that exhale, maybe sinking back into child's pose, if that feels comfortable, all the way back, sitting bones to heels. And we're going to turn that into a little movement, a little flow. So this time as you inhale, roll your chest along the ground and then push into your hands and come up into that cow pose. Heart's lifting forward in between your arms. And as you exhale, imagining your tailbone gets heavy, you articulate through your spine, through each vertebra, and sit back towards your heels for child's pose. So just moving with your breath as in a way that feels good for you. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling, slow, full inhale to roll forward, lift up. Exhaling to round and ripple and sit back towards your heels. 1 more time. You pay attention to how this feels for you, your breath, your body. And when you land back in child's pose, stay here for a breath. It might feel good to walk your knees a bit wider, let your toes touch. See if your forehead can meet the ground, and if it can't, make a pillow for your head with your hands. And then from here, we'll make our way to downward dog. So you can take a couple breaths to get there, maybe stretching your hands out, walking your knees in, and then curling your toes under, picking up your knees, making this upside down V through your whole body. And if this isn't comfortable for any reason, know that you could just hang out in tabletop instead. That might feel good too. So if downward dog feels good, taking some movement here, and again, let it be intuitive. So maybe you pedal your feet so you get that nice stretch through the back of your legs. Maybe you sway your hips side to side. And you can really think about drawing your heart in between your arms, framing your ears with your biceps, and reaching your sitting bones high if that feels good. So you get this sense of length through your whole body. And then once you've taken a breath or 2 here, from downward dog, sweep your right foot up. So reach your right foot towards the ceiling and then just circle your ankle. 2 slow circles in one direction, 2 slow circles in the other direction. Then that lifted foot, you're going to step it forward. So you can step it forward 1 big step, or you can hop or shimmy it forward, however you want to get there. And then your hands are framing that right foot. And if it feels better, here's where blocks could come into play. So as you next inhale, roll your chest forward, lift your heart, maybe sink your hips. You'll feel your hip flexor maybe open a little bit on that left side. And as you exhale, roll back so you come onto the heel of that front foot, straighten-ish through your leg. My knee's still a little bit bent, and fold over your leg. And keep moving like that. So as you inhale, you roll forward, lift your heart. As you exhale, you roll back for that half splits. And you go 2 more rounds in your own time. You might even close your eyes, just paying attention to how this movement feels in your body. And the next time that you're forward, stay forward. Plant your left hand down and reach your right hand up. And we're coming into a little twisted runner's lunge. So you reach your right hand high, and you could think about rolling your shoulders and just lifting your heart up. How does it feel to twist in this manner? Take a breath here. And then plant your right hand outside of your right foot. Walk your right foot out and then wiggle your right hand to the inside of your right foot. So we're coming into lizard now. So your hand and your chest are to the inside of your right foot, and you're finding a little external rotation in that right hip. So it might be that heels in, toes out a little bit. And then you can lean your shoulder into your knee and maybe sway side to side, or if it feels good, take some circles. And again, you're just noticing, how does my hip feel? And hips can be very different person to person. So if it feels better to be lifted up a little bit, hands could be to blocks again. And then come back to lizard, nice and steady, nice and still. Think about lifting your heart forward and up, sinking your hips. And then making your way back to downward dog. And you can pick up that back knee and just sweep your right foot back, or sort of shimmy it back. And from downward dog, we'll flow through a little sequence. And you can adapt this. If it feels better to drop onto your knees and do cat-cow, you can do that instead. Otherwise, as you inhale, you can roll forward into a plank, and we'll make it a half plank, so lower your knees to the ground. And as you exhale, hug your elbows back the way, lower your body nice and controlled to the mat. And then cobra, so you press your toenails into the ground and you think about peeling your spine off the earth, length to lift. You can press into your hands a little bit. And as you exhale, pushing into hands and knees, traveling back, downward dog. Taking a couple breaths when you land back here. And then we'll do all that on the other side. So sweeping your left foot up. Take 2 slow circles with that ankle. You might get some nice pops and clicks. And then that lifted foot will step forward, and it might be one smooth step, or you might shimmy it forward. Doesn't really matter how it gets there. Your hands frame your front foot, and you lift your heart forward and up for your first inhale. And then as you exhale, you round back for that half splits and fold over your front leg. And just moving 3 more times in that way with your breath. Inhale to lift forward and up. Exhale to round back and fold. One more time with your breath. How does it feel to move in this way in your body? Where can you feel the stretch? The next time that you roll forward, stay with your fingertips framing your foot, and maybe you think about increasing the opening into your right hip flexor by sinking your hips down. And then plant your right hand down and sweep your left hand up. Come into that twist. Make sure your right shoulder is strong. You're not collapsing here. You're pushing the ground away. Stay for a breath. Can you look up? Can you lift your heart up? And then plant your left hand back down. And then you're going to start to walk that left foot out. Plant your left hand to the inside of your left foot. So we come into lizard on the other side. And again, you adjust the angle of that foot or how far out you walk it into a place that feels good for your hip. Everyone's hips are different. And then again, maybe you can make contact with your shoulder and knee. Maybe you can sway a bit here, or maybe circles feel nice. But you're just noticing how your hip on the left is feeling. And it might feel very different from your hip on the right, so don't be surprised if that is the case. Going in both directions if you are circling. And then coming back to stillness and just taking a moment to really lift your heart, sink your pelvis down. And then stepping back, downward facing dog. Maybe your foot steps back smoothly, maybe you hop it back, it really doesn't matter. When you get to downward dog, you can stay here, come to child's pose even, or if you want, cycle through that little flow again. So as you inhale, you ripple forward into a plank or a half plank with your knees to the ground. As you exhale, you lower down. As you inhale, you lift your heart, little cobra. And as you exhale, you push into hands and knees, travel back, downward facing dog. Taking a steady breath back in downward dog, pedal or sway or be still. And then we're going to keep moving. So sweep your right foot up again. And this time kick your heel towards your bum and make 2 big circles with your knees so you're getting into your hip again. And reverse those circles, go in the opposite direction. And then slowly step your right foot forward or shimmy it forward. Lower your back knee down. And this time you're going to lift your arms up and your torso up if that feels good. And your hands could stay down to your thigh or to the floor if not. So with your arms lifted, stay here for an inhale. Front knees over front ankle and your toenails are pressing down to the ground. And as you exhale, sweep your hands behind you, and you can think about your hands, the palms of your hands facing each other in a little roll together of your shoulders. Inhale to reach forward and up. Exhale to sweep behind. Inhale to reach forward and up. Exhale to sweep behind. The next time that your hands are facing back, keep them facing back and see if you can clasp your hands together, if that feels okay. And then you can find a little shoulder stretch here, rolling your shoulders together and maybe sinking into your pelvis, lifting your heart, if that feels nice. Stay for a breath. And then release your hands, sweep your arms up for one more inhale. And then plant your hands to frame your front foot. Keep your left hand planted. Pick up your left knee this time and then come into a twist. So the same twist, but with your back knee lifted. If it feels okay, you can think about pressing that left heel back and again, turning your heart up towards the ceiling. Stay for a breath here. And then as you exhale, plant your right hand inside your right foot and walk that right foot out. So we're in lizard with the back knee lifted, and stay here for a breath. Press your left heel away. How does it feel to have your legs working, firing up a little bit more? And then you can keep that knee lifted or you can lower it down. It's your choice. And you can stay up in your hands, or we're going to experiment with folding forward. So again, blocks might feel nice here. Can you lower your elbows down so you're on your forearms in some way? And feel free to stack up the ground to you so you can make this quite high. And if you don't have blocks, you might just think about slightly bending your elbows back. Take a couple of breaths here and just close your eyes. Notice how it is your hip is feeling. And then slowly pushing into your hands, coming back up, stepping back to downward dog. That foot steps back and you pedal or sway. And you can stay in downward dog or roll through a little vinyasa, again, a little flow. So inhaling into a plank pose or a half plank, exhaling to lower down, inhaling to lift your heart, exhaling to move it back, downward dog. Couple more breaths in downward dog. And remember, child's pose is there. You just want to connect to your breath in this pose, so choose one that suits you. And then we'll do that little sequence on the other side. So from downward dog, sweep your left foot up, kick your heel towards your bum and take 2 nice big circles with that knee. And then reverse those circles, go in the opposite direction. And then slowly step your left foot forward in between your hands, lower your back knee down. So again, reaching up now, and it may be that you come up hands to thigh, or it may be that you sweep your arms up. Taking a moment just to get yourself situated, front knee over front ankle, toenails pressing down. And as you exhale next, you can sweep your hands behind you, palms facing each other, roll your shoulders, lift your heart. As you inhale, you reach your arms up. As you exhale, you sweep your hands behind you. Inhale to reach forward and up. Exhale to sweep behind. Inhale to reach forward and up. Exhale to sweep your hands behind you. And then this time clasp your hands if that feels okay for you. And you could maybe go with opposite grips, so the way that might not be your first instinct, it might feel a bit funny. And then you could think about rolling your shoulders together, lifting your heart up, maybe sinking your hips a tiny bit if that feels okay. Couple of breaths here, opening into your shoulders and chest. And then release your hands, sweep your arms forward for an inhale. As you exhale, plant your hands to frame your front foot. Plant your right hand down, pick up your left knee, sweep your left hand high. Staying for this twist, maybe thinking about pressing that right heel actively back. And then planting your left hand to the inside of your left foot, walking that foot out. So lizard, and maybe this time the back knee stays lifted, maybe it's lowering. Take a moment to lift your heart forward and up. And then you can think about lowering down here. So it might be to blocks. It might be you can lower all the way to the floor. That's great as well. See what feels good for you. Back knee can stay lifted or you can lower it if that's better. Breathing into your hip, maybe closing your eyes. And remember, if it doesn't feel good to lower down onto elbows, a little bend back of the elbows is also great. And then pushing back up onto your hands, slowly stepping your left foot back, downward dog again. A moment just to recalibrate, maybe sway your hips. And then a final chance for that little flow if you want to take it. So as you inhale, you roll forward into a plank or half plank. As you exhale, you lower down to the mat. Inhale to peel your heart from the floor. Exhale to send it back, downward facing dog. Taking a couple more breaths in downward dog, any movement. And then dropping your knees to the mat for child's pose. Knees wide, toes touch, and you can sink your hips back. And if it's better, pillow for your head with your hands. And just let your body sink. Find your breath. How's your breath doing? How's your body feeling? And then slowly roll up to sit back on your heels. And you can walk your knees in towards each other. We're going to do a tiny bit of heart opening here, a little flow. So you can rise up onto your knees, and if it's not comfortable for you, double up your mat. So you can double up your mat, pad your knees if that's better. And it can feel a bit more steady to have your toes curled under for this. You're going to bring your left hand to your lower back, and then just think about hugging your navel towards your spine. And if you had a tail, your tail would be lengthening down towards your knees. And then as you inhale, sweep your right arm up and back and look up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, think about hugging your navel towards your spine. Sweep that hand forward and then replace your right hand where your left hand was. Right hand to lower back. Inhale, sweep your left arm up and back. Exhale, engage your core, come back through center, sweep it back behind you. Left hand to your sacrum. And then again with your breath, inhale to reach your right hand up. Exhale to come through center and switch. Inhale to sweep your left hand up. Exhale to come through center and switch. And we'll do 2 more each side. And when you finish, sitting back towards your heels, and if it's not comfortable for your ankles to sit like this, just swing your legs ahead of you. And just take a moment, think length through the spine. Spine gets really long. How did doing that feel? Sometimes after you've done heart openers, you're like, oh yeah, I can feel that I've been opening up in a place maybe I'm used to rounding in. If you're someone like me who spends a lot of time at a laptop, it can feel quite big. And then if your legs aren't ahead of you, sit to one side, swing them ahead. Give your legs a little wiggle, and then bend the sole of your right foot, plant it to the mat. You are going to bring your right elbow to the inside of your right knee. We're going to come into an open twist. And if you find that you're rounding here, as opposed to sitting up straight, bend your left knee a little bit. You can pad it. So right knee, right elbow to the inside of right knee, left hand behind you. Find loads of length as you inhale, And as you exhale, just start to twist around to the left. And you could think about knocking your right knee into your right elbow a little bit, just to tip you further round. You can breathe as you turn. A couple of breaths here. And then release through center. Extend your legs, give your legs a wiggle. And we'll go to the other side. So your left foot's going to plant to the mat. Right leg is extended, and then your left elbow comes to the inside of your left knee, right hand behind you. And sit up nice and tall. You're right up on your sitting bones. Length through your spine. Big inhale. And as you exhale, just journeying that twist to the right. And again, just allowing your left knee to kind of knock your elbow. Encourage you to turn a bit more. Try not to round here. Try and keep a little lift up for your heart. Just closing your eyes. How does your spine feel in this movement? And then coming back through center, extending your legs, giving them a little wiggle. And we're going to come into a fold, so you can have a really big bend in your knees here. Sweep your arms up towards the ceiling. Take a big stretch through your torso. And as you exhale, start to fold over your legs. And the fold is happening at your hip crease as opposed to your spine. So keep your spine as long as you can. And then just allow yourself to soften over your legs. Hands could be to the mat or could hold to your legs in some way. Take a couple of slow breaths here. Again, you can close your eyes. Thinking about folding in towards yourself. And then very slowly roll up through your spine, nice and slow. When you rise up, take a moment, bring your hands beside your hips, and if you can, push down and just think about lengthening the crown of your head up. And then let's make our way into a seat for meditation. So you might get cool after that movement if you want to put a layer on, grab something. And you want to be really comfortable in your seat for your meditation. So you can also sit on a chair if it doesn't feel good to sit cross-legged. And I often raise my seat up a little bit because it can feel good to have hips above knees just to help with circulation. So find a seat that is really comfortable. That's the most important thing. And you want to be able to feel that your weight is really evenly grounded, that you're not tipping forward or leaning back. You want to be able to feel that central point of weight going down. And then the crown of your head lengthening up towards the ceiling. And you want to keep your shoulders released. They're not creeping up towards your ears, but they're nice and soft. Rest your palms in your lap. Let your hands be supported. And I quite like to just touch my thumbs together as a point of connection. And you could keep your eyes closed or you could keep them open, but gaze very soft. Once you are sure that your seat is comfortable, sustainable, that you can be still and peaceful here, then just start to pay attention to your breath. You don't need to do anything at all to your breath. You're just going to notice it. The cool of the air coming in through your nostrils. The warmth of the breath as it leaves. Maybe you notice where you can feel the breath in your body. If it feels like it's in your chest, rib cage, maybe you can feel it in your belly. And noticing what the quality of the breath is like now. Maybe it's changed from the start of the class. Maybe it's a bit deeper or fuller or smoother. And just noticing how every cycle of breath is a little bit different from the one that came before. Can you land the whole of your awareness on your breath, really following the journey it's making? the journey it's making in your body. And that circular, cyclical journey it's taking of inhale, feeding into exhale, and exhale, sort of evaporating, descending, and then a new inhale coming. You might notice at the end of your exhale, there's a tiny pause, like a moment of just complete stillness before a new inhale comes. And if you want, you could play with just lingering in that pause. You're not stopping your breath. Whenever the inhale wants to come, you let it come. But you're just enjoying that moment of stillness and peace before a new inhale arises, another cycle or fluctuation of breath. And the way that your breath behaves, thoughts can behave a lot like this too. In cycles, in movements. But underneath or beneath your thoughts, sometimes you can capture a glimpse of just a moment of stillness, the peace that's underlying everything in your mind. Once you make a bit of space away from the worries and concerns that can tend to preoccupy us. So we'll be here for another few minutes, and you might stay with your breath, just focusing on your breath. Or you might pay attention to your thoughts, and they can be quite slippery, they can shift and change. You might notice that suddenly you get caught up in a thought, and you've been thinking about your dinner or whatever it is you need to do next. And just see if you can bring yourself back to observing them. Maybe watching for brief moments of stillness, where the fluctuations pause just for a minute. And we'll be here for another couple of minutes. If your awareness has drifted away, just bring it back to your body sitting here, the weight of your sitting bones, the length of your spine. And we just did 3 minutes, 3 whole minutes of sitting in stillness with nothing to do apart from witnessing our bodies and minds. And that's a lot more than most of us give ourselves in a day. So just draw your hands to your heart, and that might be one hand on top of the other, or in prayer if that feels appropriate for you. And just say thanks to yourself for making time for this practice. Meditation practice is not easy. It's a lot harder sometimes than moving. And just know that whatever that practice was for you, that was what you needed it to be today. That was how it needed to be today. And that as long as you were sitting in relative stillness, noticing you were doing really great meditation. So give yourself a bit of thanks, a bit of love for your meditation and for your yoga practice. And we'll finish with one big breath together. So inhale through your nose. And as you exhale, let it go out your mouth. Thank you so much. I hope you found this practice useful. Feel free to take bits and leave other bits, and use the video in any way that you want. If you just want to meditate, that's great. If you just want to move, that's great as well. But yeah, thank you so much, and hope to see you climbing soon. Thanks everyone. Bye.